my dear followers, we're back today with a new episode of Osamu's story and his suicide attempts. Last time, after Osamu and his friends arrived in the city, they went to meet the king at the castle. The king welcomed them and consulted them about his daughter Charlotte's marriage, but Osamu told him that he couldn't leave such a decision to people he had just met. That night, Osamu met Charlotte and told her about himself, and that despite all the trouble he caused, he always chose his own path. Charlotte was convinced by his words and decided to commit suicide with him, shocking everyone with her decision. But they were surprised when the knight Gomez turned into a monster and attacked them. The guards tried to stop him, but to no avail. Osamu intervened and stopped the fight between Tama and Gomez, suggesting that Gomez should kill him and Charlotte first since they wanted to die. Charlotte hesitated and retracted her decision to commit suicide because she wanted to protect the city and its inhabitants. At that moment, Osamu pushed her away, and Annette created a barrier around Osamu to protect him from Gomez's attack. Tama took the opportunity and defeated Gomez. Osamu and his group left the city and continued their journey to find Sasha. Before we start, I hope you support us with a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Let's go. We see Tama and Annette dragging Osamu, who's sleeping in the coffin as usual, through a mountainous area. Osamu opens the coffin and calls out to Annette, telling her he's hungry, so she decides they should rest and eat. When Osamu asks where the food is, she gives him a loaf of bread and he asks for tofu. She tells him she doesn't know what tofu is, but will look for it at the market when they reach the city. Tama is astonished at how Annette treats Osamu so kindly. When Tama asks Annette how long it will take to reach her village, Annette replies that it will take a few days, but they need to visit the Zuiten church first. Tama has no objection, but wants to know the reason. Annette explains that people summoned to this world start their journey from one of the 4 churches around the world to defeat the Dark Lord. But since Osamu's goal is to find Sasha, they need to gather information about her from these churches. Tama remarks that if they're unlucky, they might have to travel the entire world. Annette sadly admits she failed as a guide because she doesn't want Osamu to fight the Dark Lord or see him get hurt. Tama interrupts her, saying she can't believe Annette admires Osamu so much. Annette shyly and awkwardly explains that Osamu helped her find a new purpose in life and she wants to repay him. Tama then asks what Annette will do if Sasha, the one Osamu is searching for, turns out to be his lover. Annette cries while eating the bread and responds that she joined them to make sure Sasha isn't Osamu's lover. Tama tells her not to cry and promises to help her until they reach her village. However, Annette isn't happy with Tama's help because she wants to be alone with Osamu. After a while, Tama asks Annette how she plans to enter the church since she left her position as a nun. Annette reassures her that there's no need to worry because the nun at the church they're visiting is her friend. Additionally, she didn't leave her position without permission, but resigned and left with her summoned beast. Tama turns her head and says, "You mean that beast over there?" Annette is shocked to see her summoned beast biting Osamu's head, so she pulls it away and scolds it for its behavior. When she inquires about the resignation letter it was supposed to deliver, it spits it out, causing her to explode with anger, yelling at it for returning without delivering the letter. Osamu laughs at Annette's interaction with her summoned beast and decides to name the beast Meros. The beast clearly likes the name and follows Osamu. Tama asks Annette, who is crying, to get ready to continue their journey. After a while, we see them dragging Osamu, and Annette seems depressed. Suddenly, Meros gets up and screams loudly, then runs away in fear. Amid the team's confusion about Meros's strange behavior, they are hit by a strong wind and hear the sound of powerful wings flapping above them. They freeze in fear when they see a dragon land in front of them. They wonder in terror why a dragon, the strongest creature in the world, is there. The dragon roars and prepares to attack them. Tama and Annette resign themselves to their inevitable fate, but they are surprised when a mysterious person behind them orders the dragon to stop, and it obeys calmly. The mysterious person approaches the dragon, and Tama tries to warn them, but is shocked to see the dragon behaving like a pet. The person speaks incomprehensible words, making the dragon completely relax and fall asleep, much to Tama and Annette's curiosity about the person's identity. When they ask the mysterious girl who she is, she tells them that the area is dangerous and filled with monsters, advising them to leave quickly. Noticing the coffin, she comments that one of their companions seems to be dead. She is stunned when Osamu emerges from the coffin, asking if it's time to eat yet. Tama and Annette apologize for Osamu's behavior, explaining that he is a hero from another world. Upon hearing that Osamu is a hero, the girl's demeanor changes 180 degrees, and she angrily declares that she will take revenge on all heroes. With the end of her words, her magical energy explodes in the area, revealing that half of her body is transformed into a dragon. Osamu and his group struggle to remain standing against the powerful energy wave. The girl points her hand at the confused Osamu and fires an energy beam at him. Annette quickly moves to form a light barrier around them to protect them from the attack. But the energy beam is so strong that it destroys the barrier, blasts the mountain behind them, and leaves a deep scar in its path. Annette struggles to get up after the devastating attack, wondering how someone could be so powerful. She tells Tama they must protect Osamu from the girl at all costs, but they are paralyzed with fear and fall to the ground under the intense energy as the girl approaches them. Amid her fear, Annette notices the emblem on the girl's chest and realizes she is the Dark Lord. Moments later, the girl prepares to fire 2 beams at Annette and Tama, but Osamu stops her, telling her there's no need to harm Tama and Annette because they're innocent, and stands in front of her, asking her to kill him since he's her target. Annette tries to stop Osamu, but it's no use as he asks the girl to kill him. Without hesitation, the girl's hand pierces Osamu's abdomen with great speed and force, and he falls to the ground, bleeding. The girl turns her back on them, introduces herself as Odaria, and asks them to remember her name well before walking away calmly. But she freezes when she hears Osamu's voice saying he can't believe she actually stabbed him. Odaria looks at the standing Osamu, who's holding his wound, telling her he understands the feeling of hatred and anger consuming her as he felt the same way once. She asks him what he means. Osamu approaches her and gently places his hand on her cheek, saying he understands her feelings and wants to know the reason for the deep sadness in her eyes. But Odaria steps back in fear, mounts the dragon, and flies away, not understanding Osamu's strange actions. Osamu collapses and loses consciousness due to his injury. At that moment, Meros, who had hidden behind the rocks, appears once he is sure Odaria and the dragon have left. Later, we see Meros transformed into a flying carpet, carrying Osamu, Annette, and Tama through the rain and reaching the church door. When the nun opens the door, she is shocked by the sight of the group and Meros, who reverts to his original form. The nun quickly checks on Annette and asks everyone in the church to bring them inside and prepare healing potions. The church enters emergency mode to treat Osamu's injuries before he dies. The next day, we see Osamu and Tama standing in front of a poison shop. The seller explains to Osamu the lethal danger of the poison he's holding and that it's the best way to kill monsters. But Osamu ignores all his warnings, opens the poison bottle and drinks it, shocking Tama and the seller, who can't believe their eyes. Tama yells at Osamu, saying that it took a miracle to save him from his wounds, and now he's trying to kill himself again. He replies that his suicide attempt failed once more because of them and continues drinking the poison. Meanwhile, we see Annette and her friend Aisha, who comments that Osamu seems to have fully recovered from his injury. Annette thanks her, saying he wouldn't have survived without her help, and asks if she's heard of a girl named Sasha arriving at the church. Aisha replies she doesn't know anyone by that name, and asks why Annette is with Osamu. She explains she was shocked to learn Annette resigned for no apparent reason, but was happy because Annette was too simple and unsuitable to be a guide for heroes. Aisha wonders how Annette can be with Osamu, knowing well that all the heroes transported to this world are scum, and she continues angrily that the heroes use the powers they are granted to defeat the Dark Lord for their own goals and desires. At that moment, one of the heroes appears and asks them why they are angry and loud. He introduces himself as Kotaro and offers to spend time with them, but they ignore him and continue their conversation. Kotaro tries to get their attention again, showing off the power he acquired, unlimited money. He tells them he can buy them anything they want. However, Aisha snaps at him, throwing a handful of coins at his face and angrily telling him, "We're busy and don't have time for your nonsense." Kotaro leaves, crying and vowing to take revenge on them. Aisha looks at Annette and says, "See, I told you, they are all scum." Annette responds, "Osamu is not like them. He's different." But Aisha interrupts her, insisting that all heroes are the same, and it's clear that Osamu is a suicidal mess who will ruin her life. Annette protests, saying shyly, "If it weren't for Osamu, I wouldn't be here right now. He changed my fate. Besides, he's not suicidal like you think." At that moment, Osamu interrupts them, asking Annette for money to buy medicine. Aisha becomes convinced that Annette's situation is hopeless, and there's no way to convince her otherwise. She asks about Osamu's strength, assuming he must be weak given their current state. Annette replies, "Osamu doesn't have any special powers at all. He faced the Dark Lord bravely to save me." Aisha, surprised, says, "What are you talking about? The Dark Lord was killed by one of the heroes 3 days ago. Meanwhile, in the Dark Lord's castle, we see one of the heroes sitting on the Dark Lord's throne with Sasha standing next to him. In front of them is a massive, roaring monster. The hero tells the monster, "There's no point in screaming. The Dark Lord won't come back, no matter how much you call for him, because we killed him." On the other side, we see Orderia standing with her dragon in front of the Dark Lord's castle, calling out to her father with deep sorrow. And we return to Annette, who is sitting with Tama, telling her that the heroes have defeated the Dark Lord. Tama looks surprised by the news. Annette informs her that the news reached Aisha from the church the previous day, and finally, they will be able to live in peace. Tama is silent for a moment and then asks, "So who was the girl who attacked them? And if the Dark Lord has been dead for a while, what was the reason for summoning Osamu to this world?" At that moment, Osamu tears apart the script he was writing, lays down on the ground, and wishes to die. When Tama asks him what happened, he replies that he wanted to write about the events that happened to him since he arrived in this world, but he doesn't know how to write. Annette excitedly asks him what he wrote about her. He answers that he hasn't written anything about her at all, and that he felt inspired when they met Uderia, but now he can't write anything, and wishes for something exciting to happen so he can write. Annette suggests they go to the city, because she wants to buy him some tools. Seconds later, we see Osamu wearing a huge silver armor that Annette bought for him. When Tama objects, saying the armor is too big and Osamu won't be able to move in it, Annette explains that the armor will provide the best protection and block weak magical spells. As long as he's wearing it, they won't worry about him getting hurt like last time. At the end of her explanation, she puts the helmet on Osamu and asks him to stay in place until they finish their market tour and come back to him. A bit later, we see Aisha walking in the market and noticing a group of children gathered around something. She goes to see what's going on and is shocked to find Osamu, unrecognizable in his armor, with children gathered around him. She asks him what he's doing there. Osamu replies that he's looking for something to write about. She tells him she wanted to talk to him about something important and asks him to stay away from Annette because she's a nice person who trusts people quickly and will suffer as long as she's with him. Since Annette is her friend, she asks him to remove her from his team and cut ties with her. But Osamu smiles calmly and answers that the decision is neither his nor hers to make because Annette joined him of her own will, and she's the only one who can decide whether to leave the team or not. Besides, she's not a caged bird for Aisha to decide her fate, and asks her why she thinks Annette will suffer as long as she's with him. Aisha angrily replies that he's a hero, and that's enough reason because she doesn't trust heroes at all. At that moment, their conversation is interrupted by the appearance of Kotaro and another hero with a pack of wolves. Kotaro introduces the hero next to him as Suzuki. Suzuki informs the residents that the great heroes have succeeded in defeating the Dark Lord. The residents are happy because they can finally live in peace without fearing for their lives. But Suzuki interrupts them with a wicked smile and tells them that from now on, they will live under the rule of the great heroes who risked their lives to protect them, and their city will be under his rule from now on. It's very clear that the residents oppose this decision because they were just relieved to be free from the Dark Lord. At that moment, Kotaro points at Annette and tells Suzuki that she hit him earlier. Annette responds that she didn't hit him at all, but Suzuki angrily approaches her and says she needs to be disciplined and learn not to oppose the heroes who saved them. As soon as he stands next to her, he puts his hand on her head and tells her, "From now on, you will be a good girl and obey the orders." So, what will happen to next? What will happen to Annette? What awaits Osamu? Who is the hero that killed the Dark Lord, and what is his relationship with Sasha? Will Orderia achieve her revenge? All this and more, we'll find out in the upcoming episodes. And before we end the episode, please like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can follow us firsthand. Stay safe and peace out.